got bit by the Disney Infinity bug about a year and a half ago. There's a video of my first impressions that you can see here. Infinity is a solid enough game. The figures look nice, and it's a fun way to kill an afternoon. It is an expensive hobby, but there's ways to get the figures cheap. Just don't be like me and develop a problem with it. You've got two different flavors of Infinity gameplay. Playsets, which are story-driven adventures, typically sold with 2 pack-in figures, and Toy Box mode, a sandbox creative mode that's sort of Disney Minecraft. The big drawback is that the figures aren't typically playable across playsets, so if you want Captain America and Star-Lord to go on an adventure together, you've got to make it yourself, or download someone else's level. Well, the team behind Infinity created a solution in the form of a third gameplay flavor. Battlegrounds, a combat-driven experience in which all Marvel Comics figures are playable. Disney characters got something similar earlier this year with Toy Box Takeover, but this one is exclusively Marvel characters. The pack, which consists of a new Marvel Cinematic Universe-styled Captain America figure and the Battlegrounds playset itself, was said to retail at $30, about $5 to $10 cheaper than the typical playset packs. But I'm already finding it regularly discounted. I picked mine up at my local Toys R Us for $20. Battlegrounds is the meat and potatoes, so let's start off with the pack-in, which is the new Captain America figure. This one's dubbed Captain America, the First Avenger, and it's based on Chris Evans' likeness in Age of Ultron and Civil War. I'm not terribly keen on Cap not wearing a helmet or mask or whatever, but the figure does look really good. I'm a fan of its pose, which is basic and dynamic enough to be appealing to the eye, and also distinct enough from the original 2.0 figure. As for the in-game character, it's not just a simple reskin. It's got a new moveset and enhanced abilities, including an updated super move. Most notably, whereas the 2.0 Cap figure fought with a lot of flourish and movement, this Cap is more of a brawler, not nearly as flippy, which is good, because for Battlegrounds, you'll find yourself wanting to stay in place. So what we have here is a figure designed pretty much specifically to work at its best in Battlegrounds, which you'll need. If you ever played Power Stone, or to a lesser extent, Air Guys, then you know how Battlegrounds plays. The camera pulls back and you fight in a 3D environment with obstacles, power-ups, and health items. Basically the existing Infinity combat system, but in an enclosed area and with the camera not glued to your shoulder, which isn't as great as it sounds. The camera is constantly adjusting, so I had problems with it pulling back too far. Also, because the camera isn't attached to a character, the aim mechanic isn't present. This is a pretty annoying oversight, as anytime there were multiple enemies on screen, I found hitting a target to be an exercise in frustration. There's also a power disc mechanic, where discs randomly appear and can be picked up during the fight. Once they charge, which only takes a few seconds, you can use them. They range from assists, like calling in Captain Marvel or having the Winter Soldier snipe opponents, to buffs and debuffs, such as armor or your opponents being restricted by symbiotes. Your opponents can grab the power discs and use them too, but in order to prevent this, you just have to hit them with a knockback attack, typically the end of a standard combo or a drop attack from the air. But good luck hitting your opponent when you can't target and everyone's huddled together in the corner. The multiplayer is clearly meant to be the main draw here. Once again, think Power Stone. Up to 4 players can fight at a time. Rather than use the base to choose a character, you unlock characters for multiplayer by putting them on the base before your fight, and they're permanently added to your roster of selectable fighters. Your character levels and upgrades aren't applied here, so everyone's fighting on the same level. Figures you don't own can be played as trial characters using trial coins that you earn by playing the single player or completing challenge modes. This means you finally have a way to test out these characters before you buy them, which is a very welcome addition to the franchise. The only downside here is the absence of online multiplayer, which I really don't get. Online already exists within Disney Infinity, so I can't think of any reason why it wasn't included. Now, full disclosure before we go any further, the footage you see here is me playing on medium difficulty, and while I never lost a fight, I certainly got my butt kicked a few times. The game is pretty forgiving, dropping plenty of health and special meteor orbs to replenish your bars, But those can also replenish your enemy's bars. Multiple times I would almost have a KO only to wander too close to a health container and watch my opponent gain about a quarter of their health back. Much like other playsets, there is a story mode, but really it's just an excuse to move from location to location. The stages are pretty cool, with interactive areas such as a giant robot panther that shoots lasers from its eyes, or a train that knocks opponents down when it hits them. Typically the fights are you versus 2 or 3 opponents, with occasional AI-controlled help dropping in. In between the fight sequences, there are short story cutscenes detailing a plot by Loki and Ultron to take over the world. In addition to story mode, there's a challenges mode, where you participate in single fights against different opponents. Playing as specific characters allows you to unlock things such as alternate skins for multiplayer or new items for your toy box. In addition to the aforementioned trial coins, all of these modes grant you experience and toy box orbs, which accumulate for use outside of Battlegrounds. Uniquely to the franchise to date, the experience accumulated in Battlegrounds is not applied to your character directly, but rather stored in the experience bank. You can apply the experience to your characters here in any amount you would like, and then spend it outside of Battlegrounds on new abilities. Useful, as you can finally level up that neglected Nick Fury figure by spending an afternoon playing as Spider-Man. Ultimately, Battlegrounds succeeds. It's the same level of quality you would expect, though that also means it comes with the same problems you would expect. By itself it might be pricey, but the pack-in Captain America figure sweetens the deal. Well worth $30, but a steal at $20 or less. If you're a fan of Infinity so far, and like so many of us wish 3.0 had a stronger Marvel presence, the Battlegrounds playset should definitely scratch that itch.
No other choice. Step aside.